Back pain is the most common neurological complaint in North America, second only to headaches. In fact, in America, more than 50 billion, billion with a B, dollars is spent every year on treatment. There was even an interesting little article published in the Journal of American Board of Family Medicine in 2008. They looked at 6 cases where patients had experienced either chronic back pain or a failed back surgery. What they found out was when these people had their vitamin D levels raised in their body, they saw significant improvement, and some of them even completely got rid of their back concerns. And then we have Dr. Michael Hollick. He writes that between 40 to 60% of the people who comes into his clinic have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue, that they actually have a vitamin D deficiency related osteomalacia. Says these people have often also been written off as victims of depression. So we have 2 major things that these doctors are seeing that are directly impacted or can be directly impacted by upping our vitamin D levels. This is one of the reasons I am so excited to have this plant source vitamin D3 available now in the Soul Naturals lineup. The LongeviD is an amazing, amazing addition to our Soul Naturals product line. The reindeer lichen is our major source of the vitamin D3 in this. It is a beautiful, beautiful plant here. And vitamin D is specifically tied to heightening your muscle mass, strength, and coordination. So otherwise, when your body's off or deficient in that, you might not have as much grace as you might want, or dexterity, or the ability to maneuver, even, like with your eyes closed. Vitamin D can impact this. Vitamin D also supports having normal teeth development and health. And think beyond just every day right now, think also in utero when you have a pregnant mom, what a benefit this is. Because actually, when the baby is growing, she is also supporting the growth, and that teeth development is being impacted then. And having enough vitamin D will also reduce your calcium needs. So there's many things that can tie into this for your calcium absorbability, but vitamin D is going to have a major impact. What else does vitamin D? What other roles does it have? Well, it has a dependent role in our osteohealth. Otherwise, where are you at in your life? So, fetal development and in childhood, it's going to be our bone former. So, think of it as that bone structure is forming in utero. Think of it as we get up and start crawling and then walking. And then as a teenager, those growth spurts where all of a sudden kids just shoot up like crazy. Vitamin D is really important for that to occur correctly. And then once we become an adult, it's going to be tied in more with our bone turnover. It's a regulator for that, because our bones not aren't don't stay the same. Once they're built, it doesn't mean we're done. There is a process that goes on to keep us having as good and strong a bone density as possible as we go ahead and age in life. So let's talk about the calcium component of this. How does this tie into our structural integrity? Well, one thing we need to know is simple deficiency signs. How can we know that maybe we're not getting enough calcium, and or remember, because that D3 plays a role in our ability to utilize calcium. It means we may have it, but we may not be able to use it. So deficiency signs would be muscle cramps. We could have numbness and tingling in our arms and legs, and even brittle nails. We're all familiar with the porous or fragile bones between osteopenia, osteomalacia, and osteoarthritis. But also just think joint pains and our tooth decay. So another area, or the area of the body that usually shows the first loss, is going to be in the jawbone. And we notice it because our teeth get loose, and they're getting loose because the jawbone is getting thinner. And therefore, the roots of the teeth just aren't snug anymore. This is another reason that sometimes when people start on medications tied to osteoporosis, that their jawbone gets impacted first. So the tailbone, also known as the coccyx, is the area of the body where it's called a calcium warehouse, and that's where the body stores that extra calcium. We can sometimes notice a achiness there if we're deficient and don't have enough. Another way we might notice it is if we break a bone, and then as the body is working on healing that broken area, not only is there an achiness there, but there is an achiness actually in the tailbone when it's pulling that from those calcium reserves. And like I said, the calcium is constantly being utilized in the body, but the whole supply is constantly being replaced in that body every 6 years. So not only in the warehouse of it, but every place that we have calcium in the body. And once again, vitamin D plays a critical role in not only helping calcium when it comes to kidneys and helping keep it from impacting kidneys in a not great way, it also helps the body to hold on to the calcium and be able to use it as it's called for. Now, when we look at the different parts of osteoporosis, this is important. And this is actually a process that is constantly going on throughout our life. And it's called bone remodeling. It can be almost 10% of your entire skeleton at any given time that is being worked on. And when I was doing some research, I found anywhere from, I think it was about 40% of the entire skeleton that could at points be changed over in a year's time. This is really important because this allows our body to repair, grow, respond to anything that's thrown at us, whether it's a fall and we bruise the bone, or maybe it's because we break an area. Now, when we can't keep up and there's an imbalance to how much of bones being reabsorbed compared to how much is being made, then that is when osteoporosis occurs. And you can see in the picture over here that the more extreme that this gets out of balance, the more fragile that bone structure is. So there's basically more hollow areas that are in the bone. Alfalfa is one of our components that I absolutely love that is in this formula. Alfalfa is what I always used, was given as a kid growing up. It's what I used throughout my pregnancy. It's what I use for all my kids to get that really strong bone structure, teeth. It just did amazing. And you can see from the picture there that there's very long tap roots on this plant. In fact, it extends from 15 to 30 feet into the ground. That allows it to pull up amazing amounts of minerals. In fact, it's looked at as kind of the king of herbs because it is so mineral laden with calcium. You can see we've got phosphorus, potassium, lots of trace minerals. It also has lots of vitamins in it, A, C, E, and K, D, B6, 12, U. It's very high in iron. It also has enzymes, and enzymes are critical whenever we to assimilate, break down our food. Of course, electrolytes, which tie in with your mineral components as well, your amino acids, your fiber. Otherwise, it is just a great plant, and it's actually something that was just a given. And alfalfa was something that I always used for my kids, and I learned it because my brother would use it when they had growing pains. And our oldest son, one year around his 8th grade summer, he literally grew like 6 inches in the summer. And I was able to keep him from having growing pains by using alfalfa. So you can see why this is such a great component to have in our formula for the D3 to give us the minerals and the calcium to make for a great supporter of our bone health. Plantain, another plant that I love, and that's also high in calcium. It, along with the alfalfa, is two plants that I always use when I had to work with compression fractures, because it would help those stress fractures of bone areas to heal so quickly. And you couldn't look at it and know how much calcium was in it, but what the proof was in the pudding. Otherwise, the results we got. Plantain's also really important, helping support kidney and bladder health. Gaduchi, another new wonderful adaptogen we've got. So we know it's going to help with how stress impacts our bones, whether stress from injury, stress from aging, stress from chemical toxin exposure. It's also been proven through research to help challenge issues like arthritis, joint pain, gout, any types of pain and swelling, which when we are don't feel good, as in the swelling and redness in the areas, then the bones don't have the same support for our structural system. So very important. Also supports the kidney health. Now, why do I keep emphasizing the plants and components that support the kidney health? Well, specifically because, and you're going to see here, Goji, which also helps to nourish and tonify the kidney, that in Chinese traditional Chinese medicine, there is looked at a relationship between the kidneys and the bone. And I was always taught that when your water's out of balance, then you don't hold your adjustments so well. Your bones will go out of alignment, or you can get adjusted by a chiropractor and you won't hold the adjustment. But once we get that balance established and supported, then you hold your adjustment. So to me, this is perfect that we have 3 different plants that come in and support the kidneys so that we're supporting that water element in the structural system to help us hold ourselves in alignment. So now what you need to think is, I want you to notice, could this formula be for you? So let's think, is it tender when you push on your sternum? Believe it or not, that can be a indicator that you are low in vitamin D. Like we talked about, do you have that occasional achiness in your tailbone? Do you have a job where you sit a lot and don't exercise? Because right there, we already know that we're already not getting as much support as we need for that structural system, that bone health and the muscles. Do you already have a muscle weakness, particularly around the pelvis or hip area? Because if you do, then that's also showing that you might be low in D3. Again, any issues with poor teeth formation or loose teeth? Do you experience regular back pain? Remember the statistics we talked about at the beginning of this little chat here. And do you experience ringing in the ears? I found that very interesting to find out that that could be a symptom of being low in D3. If you experience or have any of these, or if you have bones in your body, which of course we all do, you might consider adding this formula to your soul protocol, your soul list.